Galio is certainly another champion who really has been getting banned out a tremendous amount. This is before the nerfs that most recently did kind of come in there. So certainly a really, really strong champion. We'll see if it's left up.
We will see the Irelia and the Aatrox banned away. Both these were massive power picks during Worlds 2018. We saw an incredible prevalence in their use during multiple games from multiple regions, from multiple teams, but not here today. The Draven and the Rakan being banned away shows a little bit of respect towards the bottom lane from both sides, and now it's FlyQuest who get to make the first pick here in the matchup. Games previously today, we've seen some pretty safe picks come in, and there's that Galio that you mentioned. It's not banned. Why not make the power pick?
Yeah, Galio works so well in this meta. With the Q damage buffs that had come in previously, he really is a big AP scaling threat. People still going Aftershock on him for that kind of tankiness, grab through the runes. A tremendous amount of burst damage, and in competitive it's even better simply because of how well it can work with aggressive laners on other sides of the map. If you want to go down to bot lane, try to snowball something like a Lucian pick, or even, perhaps that Riven does come through, and Galio plus the Riven can be a very strong combo to try to get that side lane snowballing.
Galio delivery system. If you've got somebody willing to dive in that just needs a little bit of extra protection, Galio's wonderful for that. But the Golden Guardians will answer by grabbing a couple very strong lanes of their own with Urgot and Lucian picked up early.
Yeah, I mean, Camille is available if Santorin wanted to grab that. That is a very, very kind of classic combo there with the Camille Galio, locking them in with the ultimate, guaranteeing that the Galio ultimate will land. Also have to remember Camille can go to the top lane as well, though it certainly has been being played much more often out of the jungle.
Definitely seeing it in the jungle way more frequently these days, but the Ezreal's going to be grabbed. Ezreal and Lucian both been very popular so far today. Champions that have some mobility, champions that have plenty of damage potential, and with Ezreal's new W, he can do a lot of damage to turrets as well. We've already seen that be showcased here too. Olaf picked up by the Golden Guardians, and this is an interesting choice because although it's a champion that we've seen throughout League of Legends history in the jungle, it's recently been in the LCK. They picked up the Redemption build on the Olaf early on as an item pickup. It seemed really strange, but then after you start to consider it and see the logic behind it, it does make some sense, and I'm curious whether or not Contractz is going to go for that path here too.
Yeah, it can be one of those cases where, we have seen it picked up against Karthus jungle and some of these AoE damage champions where the Redemption can be very effective. You can farm it up pretty quickly. It's relatively cheap first item that you can buy, and that can be very effective on that one item when you're having a team fight as Olaf. You're not looking to scale into late game anyway, so if you want to go a more supportive style, I think it makes some sense.
Well, with AD carries picked up on both sides, the supports have yet to be chosen, and both teams are recognizing that one, banning away a couple of power picks here with the Alistar being banned out by Golden Guardians. FlyQuest taking out the Thresh, as Golden Guardians will remove Tahm Kench, a third support ban here in the second phase.
Yeah, Brahm's still available here for Olleh. That is going to be taken off. I mean, seems like the obvious pick would have been the Braum had it been up with the Lucian. Morgana is kind of a throwback for Olleh back to his Immortals days, where he was really picking that quite a lot. We didn't see nearly as much of it on his time with Team Liquid, but this is certainly one of Olleh's kind of specialty picks that he really made a name for himself on.
Very powerful if you can dial in those bindings. I mean, when you've got Lucian following you up, one binding means he's able to get off quite a few shots of those auto attacks. FlyQuest, how do you want to respond to this one? Hovering over the Karma right now, thinking, all right, well, maybe if they've got some shields, we'll have some shields, but instead the Victor also seems to be what they're thinking about. Do you lock that one in? Ornn, another champion that just, the amount of CC he brings to the table in competitive play means he's always going to be annoying to deal with, and it looks like FlyQuest are going to go ahead and lock him in.
Yeah, if it is that Ornn in the top side, you certainly can expect Hauntzer to be having that kind of 1v1 advantage, at least having the push there. Ornn does offer some really good late game scaling, especially if he is in a solo lane. At 13, you can upgrade your own item. On the subsequent levels after that, you can start to upgrade your teammates' items, which can be very effective. We have seen Lehens bring out the Ornn support in the LCK. But one of my issues with, as far as talking about the scaling there, is that it's very hard for supports to get enough levels to really start upgrading their teammates' gear. That being said, you still have incredible engage. When you're looking across at this roster, it may be somewhat low in the consistent damage, but oh my god, the engage with Sion, with Ornn, Camille, Galio, that feels like unavoidable.
This is a ton of engage and an equal ton of trust in WildTurtle as the only big consistent damage threat. I mean, Turtle's going to have to be dialing in those Mystic shots. His accuracy needs to be on point. He needs to be keeping himself safe, because if that Ezreal ever falls, there's no damage.
Yeah, there really isn't. And I do wonder how this is going to look for FlyQuest, because at the top of the draft, you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, well, Turtle's the only consistent damage. All these guys are engaged. They have to gank Turtle's lane. They have to get down there and help him because he's even kind of been drafted into a losing lane. You're expecting Morgana as this range support to really be bullying out against the Ornn. Lucian's certainly going to have priority early on against that Ezreal. So that is somewhat of a telegraphed strategy there for FlyQuest, and we'll see if Golden Guardians can play around that, as if these stay in isolated lanes, I think they have 3 winning lanes. Vladimir into the Sion, they move the Urgot down to mid against the Galio, and they have Lucian Morgana there. So really, all Contractz needs to do is just try to track Santorin in the jungle and shut down those ganks.
And with Vladimir and Olaf both on the enemy team, we talk about Turtle needing to stay safe, but against 2 champions whose only job is to run that AD carry down and make sure he's not a part of the fight. Turtle's work will be cut out for him here in the first game for both of these teams in the 2019 season. Loading on to Summoner's Rift now. Froggen versus Pobelter in the mid lane. Froggen's finally returning to competitive play. This is a guy that we saw. He's always been talking about how much he loves competitive League of Legends. The past year he was streaming, he was taking a break from competitive, but every time I talked to him, he always mentioned wanting to get back into it. He's always hungry to compete, and this is his chance to prove this is where he belongs.
Yeah, and you know, he really is remembered as one of those really strong players coming over from Europe, you know, winning a championship there. Some big expectations for this guy, and going up against Pobelter, who has had so much regional success, a lot of championships under his own belt. Froggen looking to prove that he can compete.
All right, so as we start off here, everybody's drawing the line of scrimmage. Not really going to get too crazy here at level 1. Might be the first game of the season, but that doesn't mean that you got to pull out all the stops just yet. Everybody's going to play it cool. Play it cool. Nobody do anything.
Run it down this early.
Yeah, we're not going to.
Plenty of games to play.
Lots of time to make those completely nutty plays later on. But for now, everyone's just watching the entrances to their own side of the map, making sure the other team's not going to get too cheeky here. Froggen just hanging out in mid lane. Minions spawning now. As you can see, pings coming out from the side of the Golden Guardians. Just picking onto Froggen for whatever reason. Not really sure exactly why, but WildTurtle making sure that JayJ can place that ward down while having some cover there as well. And like you said, the lanes for the Golden Guardians seem to all be in a very good spot, barring any kind of a lane swap, any kind of like excessive jungle attention, lots of rotation. So it's sort of on FlyQuest to disrupt that.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you know, Viper on the Sion, this is the strongest laning tank. That's why it's really kind of the tank that's still really in the meta quite a lot. But Hauntzer obviously feeling confident in the matchup. He's actually going Klepto. Yeah. So this really is just kind of about farming off the Sion. Even if you're not slamming the Sion in the 1v1, it's about getting to your items at a really quick rate so that you can get to those team fights and be that big threat to dive back on Turtle and take him out.
Right. A lot of times you will see a Vladimir take something like a phase rush for a team fight so he can make sure he gets into the backline and sticks onto those targets, but just having the Klepto, getting to the point where you're that massive threat that much sooner could mean the difference between Turtle being killed in a mid-game team fight or not itself.
Yeah.
These Contractz will clean up the Scuttle Crab, get a ton of mana back from that. It always surprises me how much mana the Scuttle Crab can give you back when you're almost out. As Santorin will move towards the top side of his jungle as well. Camille known as one of these early game junglers that if she can make her way into a lane and get a gank off, those early ganks are so punishing.
Yeah, they really are. The level 2 Camille gank alongside champions like Zhao is something that you hear everyone complaining about.
Oh yeah.
So hard to avoid. Even if you know they're coming, if they're willing to commit flash, they're almost always going to get yours as well. But this is competitive. People track the junglers a lot better. As you see, Hauntzer had that early ward in the river, so they know where he's at. And Hauntzer likely going to play it pretty safe, allowing himself to kind of just be pushed in for now.
This guy on your screen right now, Viper on the Sion. You talked about how he sort of earned his reputation before coming to professional and semi-pro play as one of those ribbon one tricks, one of those guys who just proved himself and his mechanics and his capabilities on the solo queue ladder for so long. And now that he's made it to this upper echelon of play, the question is he LCS caliber? Can he do it? And that's the question that he's going to have to answer for everyone, teammates, opponents, fans, everybody out there. This is his chance. He's got his shot. So a lot is on him to show, hey, it's not just Riven. I can play all the styles. I can be the tank. I can be the front line. I can be that rock in the top side.
And Santorin having snuck up. Oh, nice ward from Hauntzer. That was a really good sixth sense to actually go for the lane ward there. He knew, like, this is essentially taking it one step further. You know Santorin was spotted on the ward in the river. Santorin is expecting that if they're tracking where Hauntzer went to ward. So then you're thinking, okay, where would he go to try to avoid my river ward? Well, he would lane gank. And Hauntzer, with a perfect timing on that, honestly just really impressive.
It's the chess mentality. The goal isn't to think one step ahead, it's to think one step ahead of the step your opponent is taking.
Exactly. That's a little thing, but that can make a huge difference, right? If you die to that gank there,
make about 300 gold difference.
Yeah. Well, and bigger than that, because if you get behind against Sion, all of a sudden you can't hurt this guy anymore.
Right. It's just free fun. When you're laning against a big meatball like that, it's kind of just the break point. Can I out damage the regeneration? Can I out damage the shields? And if the answer is no, well, it's a meatball lane now. Have fun.
Yeah, sometimes the meatball gets too big. It's going to roll you over, Flowers. It's dangerous.
Well, Hauntzer's keeping away from that for now. You can see him with a nice CS lead here. Of course, that will be equalized out a little bit as Viper is able to farm up some of these minions underneath the turret. Of course, Hauntzer will try to make life as hard for him as possible during that time. Santorin moving towards his own Raptor camp, only to find that Contractz has stolen each and every chicken away. Good job on him recognizing the opportunity to do that, as mid lane Pobelter won't be finding a taunt onto Froggen. Finds himself on the losing end of a trade there and needs to go back for some mana, while bottom side definitely makes sure the waves are shoved up. And going back to what you talked about earlier, Azael, with these winning lanes for Golden Guardians, it's minions under the turret in all 3 lanes.
Yeah, and I mean, when you try that gank on the top side, Olaf already has early game priority against the Camille. So not only was he not able to pull off that gank, that allowed Contractz to take away the chickens. That allows him to start up the dragon. They have pushing lanes. They're up in farm. Things really going well for Golden Guardians, and the longer it continues along this path, the more pressure there becomes for FlyQuest to be able to find that engage, to be able to find the fight that can swing things in their direction.
Golden Guardians also picking up the first objective on the map here now. Olaf able to solo down Drakes very easily, very early on in the game. That Mountain Drake previously in League of Legends, Mountain Drake wasn't the most useful Drake early on just because you're normally not doing a lot of objective damage early on in the game. But hey, now that turret plating exists, it might be the difference between getting an extra plate or not. You don't quite know, but we'll see how well that works out for them as time goes on. If nothing else, it is going to be another tool in their belt as we move further into the game, and they're already up 800 gold.
Yeah, and those first dragons are that much more powerful. 16% extra damage from the first Mountain Dragon to those neutral objectives, to those towers is really, really big, especially when you talk about the pushing lanes, right? If you have them under their tower, you can get that extra damage in. Turret plates do sometimes allow these games to really snowball very heavily because the winning lane gets all that additional gold. I mean, 2 plates is like getting a kill.
Yeah, 2 plates, slightly more than a kill. 320 gold, it's 160 per plate. So if you're able to just hang around, knock plate after plate after plate off, even if you can manage to make a play, get somebody else in there, maybe grab a kill and just hang around and beat that turret down, that lead could be snowballed very quickly. We are going into a pause right now. Not quite sure what the issue is just yet. Hopefully it will be resolved quickly. But the state of the game is looking favorable towards Golden Guardians as we expected in the early stages.
It definitely is. And when you're in a game like this, then it's going to be coming down to a lot of the team fighting, a lot of how they're going to be able to use all these engage tools that FlyQuest has, because the gold lead, while it is there, it's obviously very slight for the Golden Guardians, and there's a ton of playmaking opportunity here for FlyQuest. You have so much engage. If they ever do catch Deftly out, if they ever can burst them down at the start of a fight, things are looking pretty good. And there's so many ways to start those fights that vision control becomes very important. Tracking where all these FlyQuest engagers are becomes very important.
I've been told that there was an issue with the mouse of Santorin, some sort of problem with that, but it has been resolved already, so we're quickly back into the game. And yeah, you're talking about the ability to catch someone out, the ability to punish with all the engaged potential on FlyQuest. And during Champion Select, we talked about how if this goes to late game, Turtle's your big damage dealer, right? Like, this is your consistent damage champion. But early on in the game, tanks have very high base damages. Sion, Camille, Galio, these guys all have a lot of damage built into the kit. So it's not like Turtle's going to be the only one bringing the pain on the Ezreal.
And we may see people doing more kind of hybrid style builds, right? Pobelter is obviously going to be building very heavily AP into Galio. Right. But we have been seeing in some of the other leagues, even Sterix on Sion and these sorts of builds where they can bring a little bit more damage to the table there. So it'll be interesting to see if we see any of those style of adaptations to try to kind of round out the damage coming out from this comp.
It's the thing I always sort of forget talking about Galio. The champion does build full AP. He's just so tanky because of the way he exists.
Yep.
He's a tank and a full AP at the same time. Very, very strong. Like we said, this is patch 9.1, so it is before the recent Galio nerfs did hit. So the champion is very high priority. We'll see how that works out for FlyQuest moving forward. Pobelter is within only a few CS of Froggen there in the mid lane going up against that Urgot as Hauntzer maintains his lead of about 10 top side. You can see Viper already building the Spectre's Cowl, trying to make sure he's got that magic resistance coming in early to deal with this better. Of course, that will only be useful against Hauntzer, so once those first team fights break out, he'll be a little squishier than he'd like against the likes of Contractz and Froggen and Deftly.
And it may be that we just see him sit on the cowl and actually now go into something like a Righteous Glory or something that has a little bit of armor on it there to try to account for that. But, you know, Hauntzer going for early CDR. You can see Santorin making his way down to the bot side, and they are going to call off that gang. You know, Ornn shield, if you don't know the changes, it's worth mentioning, but the W shield no longer exists. You do have the Unstoppable back on it, so as you saw, he was still moving during that binding, but you don't get the shield to kind of have those winning trades with your Ws. You have to kind of be more careful about how you're positioning yourself, more careful about how you're entering those situations.
It's less of a good idea to face tank up against pretty much anything.
Yep.
We'll see how well that goes for him, but ultimates coming online across the board means I'm looking for some plays. We've gone 9 minutes, still no kills out across the Rift, but especially on the side of FlyQuest, all those engaged tools, Sion ulti, Camille ulti, Galio ulti, Ornn ulti, every single one of them is available. And if I'm this team, I'm looking for the opportunity to pull that trigger and make that decision. Here's where we go. Here's where we try to pull this off. But the thing is, some of these lanes can be pretty tricky. Bottom side, you've got Lucian who's mobile. He's got a black shield to back him up as well. Top side, Hauntzer's got the pool. And in the mid lane, it's Urgot. Yep. So if you're going to do this, you've got to make sure it's coordinated well, or else you're just going to end up wasting those resources, which do have pretty high cooldown.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. As you say, especially this early, it is definitely dangerous before you pick up any CDR. If you botch one of those ganks, you know, the first Galio ultimate, first ultimate coming through from Camille can be very, very important. That being said, if they do have that damage, we may see them try to look to make a side lane play.
And I like, this brings up an interesting thing in League of Legends. One of my favorite things to think about in League of Legends is deciding whether or not to make a play. And that's the fact that sometimes the threat of something is more deadly than actually using it. Because as long as all those ultimates are up on FlyQuest, Golden Guardians has to play with a certain degree of respect. They have to say, well, what if the roam comes in? What if this TP is here? What if they decide to make this move? But as soon as you make that move and it doesn't work out, all of a sudden, your opponents are sitting pretty. They don't have to care about anything anymore. Everything's sugar and rainbows, while bottom side, JJ's having to run himself away. The culling comes out, the health bars go down, but nobody's going to die just yet. Golden Guardians establishing their dominance, though.
Yeah, they poke him out. They're not going to go for any crazy dive, knowing that Galio could be moving down with the ultimate, knowing Camille could be around, but it could be open season on these turret plates here. And the fact that these guys are always having the push, always shoving in their lane opponents, means it's really hard for Pobelter and Viper to actually get out of their lanes and try to move around the map to make plays.
FlyQuest, you can see Pobelter was moving towards that bottom side of the map there for a moment. Second Drake had spawned, but Contractz popping the Predator, making sure he's ready to match any sort of a play that FlyQuest tried to go for. Second Mountain Drake of the game. If Golden Guardians start stacking those up, this could be a problem for FlyQuest once we get past that 20-minute mark, once Baron is on the map. But right now, the Golden Guardians are holding their ground here, moving forward. JayJ going to spot out the ward as Santorin moves forward to clear that one away. FlyQuest maintaining control over the river here for now, just clearing those wards out. One more hit will do it.
Yeah, and it is so important to actually keep that river vision free for FlyQuest, because they, again, want to be able to make the plays. They want to be able to threaten Pobelter roaming down, because without any wards at the river, he doesn't even have to make the roam. As you say, it's about the implied pressure. Anytime he starts walking out of vision, the bot lane has to go, well, he could be coming, back up.
Leave. Everybody bail. But as long as FlyQuest doesn't find any sort of a play to make, the neutral state of the game continues to favor the Golden Guardians, who have almost a 1,000 gold lead for themselves now. Likely will hit that mark here soon as they continue to farm up underneath their own turret. Top side, you can see a 700 gold lead for Hauntzer, really paying those dividends with that kleptomancy that he took for himself as the keystone. As Santorin hangs around the bottom side, Contractz here as well. Olleh looking for those bindings. He's got the root down. The ultimate coming in. TP also going to be used. Santorin looking to make the kill. Olleh goes into the hourglass now. Definitely still looking to find the damage. He's going to be slammed into the ground for first blood as Golden Guardians evaporate and FlyQuest will find their collapse. Froggen wants to come in. He's looking to go fishing, but he comes up with nothing. And it's 2-0 FlyQuest.
Pobelter coming in with the Goomba stomp there, getting the first blood off the ultimate, flying in and just smacking down Golden Guardians, who committed to the play when Galio was TPing in.
Golden Guardians thought they had it there, but FlyQuest turned it around. Let's take another look.
And this binding here from Olleh almost kind of baits them. It was a beautiful bind. They commit in, knowing Santorin's there, but here comes Pobelter. Look at this, all three locked in, and boom! Knocks down Deftly there, flashes forward, they pick up Olleh. Really quick reactions there from FlyQuest to get down to that bottom side. They knew they can't lose that fight, that first fully committed fight. They win, and now they are basically all tied up in the gold.
But the funny thing is, basically all tied up, but still slight disadvantage. Golden Guardians' early game farm and early game lane control has still bought them a game where they can have that botch play early on and still be on even ground.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure you don't let that put you in a bad mental state. Like, don't let that snowball any further.
Definitely. I definitely agree. I mean, they are still certainly ahead a tiny bit, but well, now it's basically even. But the problem becomes when there's all these meatballs on the other team, if you let them get too much gold, if you don't have those farm advantages, sometimes you can no longer punch through the Sion. Sometimes you can no longer really do enough damage to knock those guys down, and then the base damages of these tanks who are just piling forward become too much.
And we do see the adaptive helm was actually completed for Viper. He's saying, look, I understand that in the team fights, I'm not going to be the tankiest with this rush, but I just want to not have to deal with this Vladimir lane that is going to harass me out. So he's really prepared for that situation now. You can see the Glacial Shroud coming in for that Righteous Glory that you had mentioned earlier. Once he has that, then the team fight Sion potential is going to come out. Santorin does have his stopwatch broken, so Camille won't have that opportunity in the upcoming fights. But bottom side, you can already see the Iceborne Gauntlet and the Blade of the Ruined King completed for those 80 carries. Black Cleaver and Protobelt done in the mid lane, along with that Oblivion Orb. This is 9.1. Oblivion Orb nerfs haven't come through yet, so the item is still very effective as a rush it and sit on it item, or you can completely evolve it into the Morellonomicon if you want the healing debuff.
Yeah, and we have to look over at Hauntzer. He is level 11, has the Protobelt, has the Stork Boots, as well as some additional CDR from that Fiendish Codex, so he is going to be very, very strong if he can actually get towards that backline in a team fight. Vladimir is going to provide a tremendous amount of AoE damage. Unfortunately for Golden Guardians in that last fight, he wasn't really there early enough to make a big difference, and oh my god,
Turtle.
There is the new Ezreal. WQ, your health is gone.
Hauntzer forced to pop the ultimate here onto Viper in that top lane 1v1.
Meatballs rolling,
some healing, but that meatball... That has managed to accumulate into a state that Hauntzer wants nothing to do with right now. He's got some great plat penetration with the Sorcerer's Shoes. Problem is, plat pen doesn't work against tank stats.
Yeah,
That's not really how that one goes, but FlyQuest will find their way onto the Mountain Drake here in the bottom side. They're saying, all right, top lane's dealt with. We'll commit resources towards bottom side. We'll take this down. Contractz is going to run in just in time to watch Santorin take that Drake away. And FlyQuest are starting to feel pretty good here. Game is all evened up. FlyQuest sitting on even Drakes with Golden Guardians now, as well as Turtle goes forward, looking to make some kind of a play. Gets back behind the minions to avoid the binding just in time. Minions making the noblest of sacrifices.
Yeah, that binding just about nipped him on the butt. That hit the cannon just in time. That could have been him going down. So narrow margins there for Turtle, but he does get out scot-free.
Calculated,
as always.
Turtle knew those minions were going to come help him out, as FlyQuest will now give the blue buff over to Pobelter. Level 12 on the Galio. Contractz thinking about wanting to contest this one. Just throws an axe in there, but it won't do a whole lot. Pobelter probably will go for the Morellonomicon, I would assume, very early in this game. You're up against Olaf, you're up against Vladimir. There's a lot of healing, and you really want to shut that down.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, even some of the passive there, Morgana, Blade the Rune King on Lucian, like all these guys do have some kind of healing that you're going to be worrying about. Plus just the flat spell pen. Morellonomicon is such a powerful item on 9.1, and working towards that makes a lot of sense. Maybe seeing the beginnings of a fight here. You see a lot of people moving over.
Froggen starting things off against Pobelter. Pobelter getting a quick combo off onto Froggen here. Rift Herald is already very low. Going to be secured there immediately by the side of the Golden Guardians. Santorin wanted to go in on this one. Going to be taken very low. Remember, does not have himself a stopwatch. Both junglers here nearly going to be taken out of the fight. As we're going to see Froggen on the front line, juggled up into the air. Chase CC brought down, shut down. Credit goes over, but it's going to be 1-for-1 as JayJ falls to Deftly as well. You're going to see Olleh move in, manage to pick himself up the Eye of the Herald, but will he die for it? Flashes over the wall to make sure he will not. And the Golden Guardians manage to get their objective. They go even on the fight, and now they have priority over the mid lane. They'll see if maybe they can take down this tier 1 turret. Nice binding over the wall from Olleh, prevents Turtle from rotating over in time. A little bit more damage onto the tier 1, and Deftly will be able to make sure he's in gold range to get that one and walk out.
Yeah, nice first turret kill there from Golden Guardian, so certainly positive on the play for them. You know, this was Turtle in base. He's backing from the bottom lane. He does his buy, and he's going to TP and is a little bit late, but the team fight is going fairly evenly, and Turtle's able to just TP in and just basically get the last hit here and the shutdown. He's like, thank you very much. Yep. That was perfect.
500 gold.
And that was a farm shutdown there onto Froggen. Froggen didn't even have a kill, but he did have a bounty because of the CS advantage. He had accrued, so a nice shutdown going over onto Ezreal. You can see he's picking up actually the Sork boots there. A lot of players have swapped over from Lucidity that you had seen mostly last year over to the Sork boots with the new updates on Ezreal, more magic damage in the kit, and people are going for the flat pen as a result.
Turtle doing good on the champion here so far, 1-0 and 2. Same can be said of the scoreline for Pobelter, who has completed that Morello Namicon we talked about earlier. FlyQuest still down about 800, 900 gold here up against Golden Guardians, but it's still anybody's game. The one turret the Golden Guardians did manage to take for themselves with the bonus gold of being that first one is pretty much the entirety of the difference between the two teams at this point in time. Next Drake will be spawning here in just under 2 minutes, and it is Infernal. That is my favorite Drake, Azael, because it means everybody's going to fight for it.
Yep, they definitely are. You know, as I said on this patch, and you know, it is more powerful when you get that first dragon. 10% ADAP, I believe, with that first Infernal dragon. So that is a really big ticket one to go for. You know, especially for the side of Golden Guardians, as really all damage dealers across the board. And Hauntzer just went back and bought a full Void Staff, so he has picked up a lot of gold, and is going to be looking to try to now pressure Viper now that he has that magic bag.
Yep, really recognizing that he's going to be in this side lane with Sion for a while. The Void Staff will be your most valuable purchase up against someone stacking magic resistance. You can see Viper did go ahead and complete the Mercury Treads before going for anything else with the Righteous Glory. Contractz moving into the bottom lane here, popping the Predator, looking to make a move onto Pobelter, but the TP coming in from FlyQuest will dissuade this for now. Shelly is going to be summoned, brings the turret down to about 10%. But it's all or nothing in League of Legends, and Shelly's taken out before the objective goes down.
Yeah, and despite the fact that Viper's TP keeps that alive, it leaves Hauntzer alone on the top side to get some damage down. He did not match with TP, so you know they can look to set up their own play. You talked about the Infernal, so now FlyQuest has to force.
FlyQuest trying to force here in the mid lane onto Olleh and Deftly. Olleh's going to take some damage there. True shot barrage into the Mystic shot means Turtle's got another.
Nice force there. FlyQuest, they knew they were down to TP, so they need to make a play before Infernal spawn. Here's another one.
Santorin goes in 1v2, but he's immediately got the backup from the notorious POB. Getting his second kill of the game, as now Froggen is in some trouble. 1 versus 3, knocked up into the air. The winds of war come down. He's tanky enough to get himself out, but the blue buff will be surrendered. The mid lane tier 1 will be surrendered, and FlyQuest are in the driver's seat.
Really great series of plays there from FlyQuest, recognizing the situation they're in, but Hauntzer did take down one tower, who is pressuring the second, and does still have TP, so we'll see if Golden Guardians can try to get over to this Infernal in time to contest, but it looks like that will go the way of FlyQuest also.
I'm liking what I'm seeing from FlyQuest here. Santorin, he's saying, look, I know my Galio's nearby. I know I'm jumping into a 1 versus 2, but he's going to come in and make this fair immediately, while JayJ says, let's go.
This was just so smart from FlyQuest. If they had gone back passively, walked to their lanes here, then all you have is a situation where it's going to be a 5v4 because of TP advantage around the Infernal. Instead, they immediately force Turtle hitting all the skill shots there, taking down Olleh. They continue the play. They know Hauntzer still has his TP, but he can't TP into this fight. They're able to pull off another kill, guaranteeing themselves the turret, guaranteeing themselves the Infernal, and this is looking like a strong team.
Lots of big moves coming out from FlyQuest in this mid-game, and make sure you tweet us letting us know what you think are the biggest plays of the day using hashtag LCS Big Plays. There's so much going on. We want to know which ones you think are the most impressive. FlyQuest definitely putting on that impressive mid-game so far. Really liking what these guys are doing. This is the way that FlyQuest won games last season as well, being decisive. We remember base races in games that should not have been base races because FlyQuest just said, yeah, we aren't going to win this way, so just run at that. Point at the Nexus, win the game. And that's what I like from this team, that decisiveness, that ability to say, it's time.
Yeah, and playing to their win conditions, right? They know the way they need to play the game. They're sticking to that. There's a lot of young players on this team, you know, guys like Viper and JayJ haven't really been around the league for that long, and really playing with confidence here, looking strong, and a lot of the onus is now going to be on Hauntzer. When you look over at the side of Golden Guardians, he has a tremendous gold lead individually. He's sitting about 2,000 gold ahead of the Sion. He has TP advantage, so they need to look to try to play around him. Try to get Viper shoved in, TP elsewhere, get some sort of advantage going, but that's much more difficult because there's a TP on Pobelter, there's a TP on WildTurtle, so they're simply moving Pobelter down to match Hauntzer, so they have a TP against a TP.
Golden Guardians still sits at a point in the game where they're relatively even in gold compared to their opponents. It's not like this is a game that FlyQuest is just in charge of and Golden Guardians is praying for an opportunity to come back into the game now. We just need to see them make some moves of their own. The problem is FlyQuest has all these tools to make the plays happen, and Golden Guardians seems like they're always having to react.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many engage tools. That's, the Sion ult, that is also the Ornn ult, but they still have Galio, Camille. They know the flash is down on Olleh, so they could look for him, but here comes Golden Guardians.
Hauntzer trying to get close to his opponents, but just takes so much damage from the Ezreal in the process. True Shot Barrage strikes through there as well, brings Hauntzer down to about 1/3. Turtle is just remaining untouchable on this Ezreal here so far.
He has really been on point with the skill shots, catching up very quickly in the farm as well. Had that deficit from the laning phase. They did lose that 2v2 as expected, but meanwhile, Golden Guardians, they try to get their punch back. Pobelter stays bot side. He holds on to the TP, holds on to the ult, knocks down a tower. So very even game here. Into the mid-late game stages now. We'll have to see how these two teams can execute.
Infernal number 2 coming up just shy of 2 minutes. Baron is alive. As we get further and further in, remember it'll become that much easier for either side to take that if the other team is caught unaware. Turtle moving up here in the mid lane, trying to clear these waves out a little bit. JayJ off to the side. The Ornn horn is not ready quite yet, so we're not going to see that initiation potential come in. Viper might be in a bad spot here. Froggen trying to chase him down. Contractz coming in from the side. Does land the first undertow. Froggen moves forward, throws Viper back. Viper flashing out of the way of the Urgot ultimate, keeping himself safe for now.
Galio's behind.
Redemption coming down, but Pobelter's looking to make his way behind. Here comes the flank, here comes the taunt. Here comes the team fight. Pobelter goes on a killing spree, and 3 Golden Guardians are down. FlyQuest makes this their moment, as Deftly will be caught up in the Hextech ultimatum and beaten down into the dirt of top lane.
What a monster flank there from Pobelter. They're looking for Hauntzer now too, and they're gonna be looking for the Baron. He's trying to turn around.
Hauntzer tries to find the damage onto WildTurtle. The Hemo Plague will take him down posthumously, but it does not matter. 1 for 5 is not an acceptable trade for Golden Guardians, and FlyQuest will take Baron as their reward.
What an impressive set of plays there from FlyQuest. Golden Guardians trying to force something, feeling like they need to make a move. They need to get a punch back. They go for Viper, but the team is there to respond, and Pobelter with 2 amazing TPs really has been the difference maker of this game. So on to the Sion. Ornn's gonna drop his redemption very early, and Viper simply turns and fights with the rest of the squad coming in. Pobelter flanking them from above. You have Santorin coming over the wall, the Ornn horn coming through, and despite the flash, the taunt connects on 3, as well as Deftly in that black shield who did avoid it, but they just get wiped off the field.
The one redeeming factor for that entire thing, I guess, is you could say, yes, Hauntzer does have the ability to one-shot Turtle, as we saw at the very end of the fight, but it doesn't matter when FlyQuest are playing so much more of a coherent team game right now, and now with Infernal number 2 spawning, Golden Guardians have to think about whether or not they can contest this.
I don't think they can. Hauntzer doesn't have Flash or Ultimate right now, and he is your strongest member. So, you talked about the ability to one-shot WildTurtle, not without Flash ulti, so
Absolutely
they need to back off. That's another Infernal going the way of FlyQuest, just extending that advantage. You're now sitting at 17% ADAP, as well as the Mountain Dragon. That means this team that would be pretty average at taking down Baron is going to have a lot more Baron threat as well.
Galio is also working on getting himself some nice headwear. The Rabadon's Death Cap coming out here very soon.
Very stylish.
Yeah, only in League of Legends can 2 sticks make a hat, but that hat is quickly going to turn this Galio into an absolute bomb, just waiting to detonate in the middle of the Golden Guardian squad, as we saw with the 3-man taunt last time. FlyQuest have taken this game that was even for 25 minutes and very quickly turned it into a 5,000 gold lead for themselves. Now let's see how they use this advantage, how they pressure across the map. You're seeing the 1-3-1 right now with Pobelter in the side lane, with Viper in the side lane, and everybody else hanging out mid. How many turrets can they get? That's the question.
Yep, Baron buffs in all 3 lanes. That is what they're looking for here. And Golden Guardians is really left with pretty limited options. When they are all pushed in, they don't have a lot of card engagement. Look at that damage for Turtle now. Oh my god.
Definitely down to 1/4 HP from a WEQ combo coming out from WildTurtle. That's what happens when the Ezreal gets farmed up. He's got the Muramana working on making sure that he gets the fully evolved Archangel staff as well with the Seraph's Embrace. As the mid lane tier 3 is under pressure, Inhibitor will follow if this goes down. The cannon minions putting in work, making sure they chip away at that one. Hauntzer wants to clear those away if he can. He'll be taken below half HP now as well. Binding comes out, only finds its way onto the support. That's not somebody you can really initiate onto, as topside Pobelter again just protects those VIP cannon minions, lets them go to town on the turret, and now that one goes down topside. The inhibitor turret goes down mid lane as well. It's 2 inhibitors exposed as cannon minions continue to fire on both fronts. Golden Guardians seems like they don't know how to respond, but they're going to have to find something or the base will fall.
Yeah, they've got to look for an engage here or they're just going to lose everything. Minions pushing in on all sides, and FlyQuest now just down to the bot side. They're going to get another inhibitor turret, and if Golden Guardians don't engage here, that's 2 inhibitors going down.
Seems like the Golden Guardians base may go without any sort of a fight. FlyQuest just walking back and forth. An afternoon stroll through the base of the Golden Guardians to take whatever they please. Golden Guardians unable to find the opportunity to go in here. 1 inhibitor remains, and once that goes down, I hope you like how your base looks, because the only thing you're going to be seeing for the next 5 minutes, you will not be able to leave with this many super minions constantly pressuring. FlyQuest just needs a little bit more damage to do it. The redemption will come down. Hauntzer finds some damage onto Pobelter, who tries to get himself away. Turtle takes down Froggen before Pobelter dies to the grinder, and this will be your final team fight. Deftly and Hauntzer trying to outplay this one. Pobelter looking to get himself away, finds the damage, nearly finds the one shot, and now it's Viper and Turtle versus Hauntzer, who's able to grab himself the kill. I spoke too soon. Golden Guardians will hold the line for now. Viper will be as much of a nuisance as possible, as Hauntzer has so many minions to clear away.
It's the minions that are going to make the difference here. Viper will make the call to back off, but the damage has been done. Golden Guardians find a team fight, but only after their base is completely in shambles. Triple inhib down. They lost the Nexus turret as well. Here it is one more time, and you do see that there is that power in the Golden Guardians team fight, but the fight is coming pretty late here. Straight onto Pobelter. They are able to burst him down. A really nice stopwatch there from Olaf, dodging out on the Ezreal, but then he falls. Critically though, Deftly and Hauntzer, 2 of the strongest members there, able to actually stay alive, able to turn this around quite a bit, and if not for that beautiful flash in from Pobelter to take down Deftly, it might have gone even more cleanly the way of the Golden Guardians.
It was a really nice fight from Golden Guardians, but it needed to happen so much earlier because now you're still in a situation where you have 2 structures standing, one of which, if it doesn't stand, you actually lose the game in your base, and you don't really have any sort of an opportunity to leave that. You have no control over 90% of this map.
And I mean, it's tough because the inhibitors died so close to when Baron is coming up. If Baron was not going to be up for 5 more minutes, then sure, maybe you can really stall it out.
Cut your losses.
Yeah, but I mean, it's going to be so tough because FlyQuest doesn't even need to force a fight. They keep them corralled in their base, do not allow Golden Guardians to get vision over by the Baron, then in 20 seconds you retreat back to the Baron, and Golden Guardians, if they leave their base at all, are going to get crushed by supers.
TPs are also up for both solo laners on the side of FlyQuest. So if at any point that single Nexus turret is left unattended, it could be very easy for FlyQuest to make a very FlyQuest play and just go for the back door, go for the kill onto the Nexus without the fight ever even needing to happen. Golden Guardians huddled up around this last remaining turret, trying to keep it protected. Santorin wants to get himself away. Ulti already going to be used here by the side of Golden Guardians jungler, but it's not going to accomplish a whole lot. Contractz could be in some trouble here. Has to flash out of the way of the Ornn. Hauntzer trying to find the damage onto the front line of FlyQuest. Turtle still going to be kept completely safe. Froggen trying to front line here, but Turtle will bring him down. Into the back line goes Santorin. Guardian Angel ready to go. Does go into the resurrection now. Hauntzer taken very low. Finally going to be taken down. Shutdown credit over to WildTurtle there. Contractz now just tanking, but cannot do it. FlyQuest will find the kills. FlyQuest will find the Nexus. FlyQuest will find the win.
An incredible game one here from FlyQuest. Certainly the underdogs coming into this one based on those preseason expectations. Everyone had Golden Guardians very highly rated, and FlyQuest really performing here. And I've got to say, so impressed with how Pobelter looked in this game one. His 2 teleports, one up to top lane with the flank, one down to bot lane with that ultimate, were incredible and really changed the course of this game.
I'm not impressed with just Pobelter. I'm impressed with how FlyQuest played as a team. This is the first week of the split. If there's going to be cohesion issues with a team, you're going to see them early on because they haven't been together for as long, they haven't been practicing as much, they're not as used to each other. But this team went into a game where their lane matchups were all unfavored. We saw them go greater than a 1,000 gold deficit before any kills happened, and they said, that's fine. We know how we're going to work together. We'll be able to shut down the plays when they try to make them. Bottom lane, we saw it. Top lane, we saw it. FlyQuest played this game wonderfully.
They really did, and credit to the team and the coach for drafting a clear win condition, right? When you talk about cohesion issues, they gave them a very clear win condition. It is engage, engage, engage. Yeah. They were able to find Golden Guardians, every time they needed to. When Golden Guardians had TP advantage, FlyQuest says, no problem. We can find a pick. We can find a fight. We can force something and take away that advantage, because really Golden Guardians had this huge lead for Hauntzer up on the side, but he was never able to really get enough out of it, never really able to capitalize on that, because Viper was moving around the map, was getting picks, getting involved in fights, and credit to this FlyQuest squad. They looked really, really good.
FlyQuest looked very, very strong today, and to hear more about the victory that made them look so outstanding, Olleh is standing by with their rookie top laner.
Thanks, Flowers. I am here with Viper. Congratulations on the victory and on your first game in the LCS. How was it for you?
It was really exciting. I'm really glad I got to win my first game. I was a little nervous, but my team carried me, so we won.
And tell me about the moment and what it was like for you when FlyQuest first approached you and asked you to be their starting top laner for this year.
I was actually really excited because I've always looked up to the players at FlyQuest. I really like the team. I like the team. My teammates, I really like them. Santorin's a good friend of mine, so it was a good reach out for them to come to me.
And what are you... And look at that, you've already made fans in the audience, but what are you yourself hoping to prove come the split?
I hope I can prove myself to show that I can be one of the best top laners. That's my only goal. Even though that game didn't show it really well, but I think I got it.
Well, Viper, thank you and congratulations again. And for more in the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you, Olleh. A nice victory for FlyQuest, and Viper there, his first time out on the LCS stage, rather, across from Hauntzer. Not an easy matchup, not maybe the player that you want to have your first outing against, and yet he does a serviceable job and helps pick up that victory for FlyQuest.
That's because they're putting all the new young guys on Sion. Having the Broken Blade, having to get in here to Viper. That's not where the similarities end, James. Look at these 2 team comps.
Tell me about the similarities,
Mark.
Mark.
It's a conspiracy, James. In the TSM versus 100 Thieves game, 100 Thieves picked like basically 3 winning lanes and Olaf for a lot of priority, and TSM took a ton of engage. It's the exact same story here, and the game played out very similarly where, the Olaf team is trying to get a gold lead through CS and dominating and eventually just using that to control the game, and the other team is waiting until team fights start breaking out.
Right, so with the team comp that Golden Guardians drafted, they don't really want to go for the 5v5 fights, and when you're watching that game and you're seeing what they're doing, they're forcing these 5v5 fights. They're trying to make plays on the bot lane. They're trying to make plays on the top lane. And that's what
FlyQuest was able to take advantage of.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you're setting up the fight for them. And at that point, it's just like, you should be making FlyQuest try to take the fight on you. And you should just be split pushing and avoiding these 5v5s. Because how do you really beat, like, look at the team count. They just have 5 champions that just won a team fight.
Right, and they have triple TP too, so whenever these fights kind of break out, it always feels like there's more people on the side of FlyQuest there. So that time Froggen was late, and here the entire team is kind of ulting in with all these kind of global abilities coming flying in. They pick off 2 people in the mid lane.
I mean, it felt like Golden Guardians understood that they had built CS leads, gold advantages across all the lanes, but that they were struggling to figure out how to translate those small leads into larger ones, thinking, okay, since we're ahead in gold, we be able to win fights straight up. To your point, Hai, how would you have preferred to see them play with their leads?
Well, if you looked at the lane phase from top and bottom and mid, they all have CS leads. What they should have done is just kept doing what they're doing. When you bring more members to, like, say, bot lane, the other team's also going to bring members. So if you're trying a 3-man, 4-man bot, enemy team's going to try to react to that. Also 4 or 3-man bot. Instead, if they just kept the lane to phase the way it was, they're getting chip damage on the bot tower, they're getting chip damage on the top tower, they're building CS leads everywhere. Just keep doing that.
Yeah.
You're not forced to make a play. One, if you feel like you outscaled them, which they did feel that way. And two, they're not forcing the plays on you, so why do you have to change what you're doing?
Right, a Vladimir in a 1-3-1, an Urgot in a 1-3-1. Those are very strong champions who can completely take over the map. And perhaps that's just that little bit of urgency that teams feel early on in the split where they really want that victory and they're almost trying to do too much. More of the same would have helped Golden Guardians here in this game.
Yeah, and there's always execution problems too, like that first bot lane fight. There's a ward behind you, so Galio's a great TP spot to come and flank you. And so there's always other things to clean up too, but that was just a game where, you know, I always am going to kind of prefer the team comp that has engage and tankiness and playmaking over a team that's basically win lane, win game.
Right.
And if that fails, we have 0 things to fall back on.
There's a lot of clarity in FlyQuest's strategy for winning, which is just survive to the point of 5-man team fights, and then we can rely on just the strengths of our champions to kind of carry us through. That's exactly what they did to pick up this victory. I do want to dive into one more clip, and as we have one of the greatest shot-calling minds in League of Legends history on the desk, Hai, I want to hear from you. In this very crucial moment in the game, what's the call?
You know, after watching this fight, I'm thinking about it. I'm looking at Sion. There's one tower dying, and there's another tower still alive, right? So my call here is that Sion should just suicide, you know, have a little bit of fun, and try and kill that tower. I'm pretty sure if he turns into his passive, that tower dies. There's no Baron spawning. There's no objective spawning for like the next minute and a half. So I think he could have some fun and, you know, suicide for the tower.
It's never too late to go strategically minded Sion, right? Like you can always go for that version of the build.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that. I think, you know, we're having a little bit of jest and fun with it. But in truth, there really was nothing to lose on the other side of it if he goes down. Baron wasn't up, Dragon wasn't up, all 3 inhibs are down. Either way, they're able to close the game out from there. Interesting point, interesting thing to check in on. We were kind of joking about it throughout this game. The LCS stock system so far has correctly predicted the winner of all 4 of our matchups. The higher elo team in that system has come away with the victory. And I'll point out that FlyQuest was one of the teams that a lot of people thought was overvalued coming into the split, saying, hey, being the 3rd or 4th ranked team here, based on the roster moves, don't have confidence, and yet here they win.
I mean, it's scary for me because I bought a lot of Golden Guardian stocking. They're undervalued, and they're playing FlyQuest. So we had the bottom third, the 3rd last team to the 3rd place team, and I thought if Golden Guardians wins this matchup, they're going to get a lot of stock. Well, they lost it, and that was one of the big reasons I bought Golden Guardian stock, so I'm not too happy.
Hey, but the stats don't lie. I'm happy to see those numbers ringing true. When we return, though, Clutch and Echo Fox both aim to start their split off with a win, so don't miss Game 5.